Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament and people of Fiji. I fully and undeservedly support the 2020-2021 budget. Yeah. These are not usual times. Oops, something happened to my computer. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir. Every country in the world faces severe economic stress. The world has not seen economic stress of this kind for 100 years. And this may be far more severe than the Great Depression of the late 20s. This is a problem that is not of our own doing, but a consequence of COVID-19. We can choose the path of austerity, as seems to be espoused by members of the opposition, or the path of timidity, or we can be bold. The global financial crisis of 2008 has shown that austerity does not work. The experiences of the Great Depression and the aftermath of World War II shows that in times such as this, the answer is to do what our normal instincts tell us not to do. Such a time as this is not a time to shirk back in fear, but it is a time that requires bold, visionary leadership. It is not a time to wallow in self-pity, nor time to twiddle fingers. It is a time for clear analysis, a time for boldness, and a time to take action. It is a time to go on the offensive. This is precisely what this budget is doing. Audacity, boldness, that is what this budget is about. Thankfully, we have Fiji first in control. Thankfully, we have this Prime Minister in control. Thankfully, we have this Minister of Economy leading the way. Our strategy is clear and emphatic. We are putting in place the measures that will enable our tourism sector to compete once our borders open up. In the meantime, we are looking to generate jobs in this country. And the best way to generate jobs quickly is construction. That has been proven over and over again. Every time we have economic problems in the world over. Construction is the way to do it, and that's what this budget is focusing on. Construction generates jobs, grows consumption, and stimulates our internal economy. In this process, we are continuing our emphasis on agriculture, on commerce, and our micro and small medium enterprises. At the same time, the developments we have brought into place these past few years to benefit the most marginalized in society, social welfare, education, all that assistance, that is not being taken away. It's being maintained and even expanded, especially in terms of unemployment benefits. As we get the jobs back, we get growth, with which comes the raising of revenue that will in turn be used to benefit all the people of this country. And that is the strategy of this government. My two ministries are geared up to do their bit to economic recovery for this country. The Ministry of Lands and Mineral Resources budget has been given a budget of 24.9 million. We will use this to strike the right balance between economic and environmental sustainability, and also to drive climate change and disaster mitigation and adaptation initiatives. The ministry will look to generate public-private partnerships to help us grow the kind of infrastructure expansion that is needed to stimulate our economy. We will prioritize the identification of land for improvement in infrastructure, construction of hospitals and health centers, medical centers, police posts, and also for housing where this is needed. We will focus on the twin targets of maintaining as much good agricultural land as possible for food security and agro-industries, and at the same time assist the growth of small and medium enterprises. The processing of expired leases to ensure security of tenureship will be prioritized, and we will work to ensure that all state agricultural land is provided to those who will plant on it. In consultation with other line agencies, we will identify portions of agricultural land that are not amenable to agriculture or which are located in areas that make them highly amenable to business activities and rezone them as such. We will use our existing networks and strengthen collaboration with other government ministries like Agriculture, the Department of Town and Country Planning, the Ministry of Waterways, and other relevant agencies in pursuit of our goals. Access to land and speed of access to land is critical, and so the ministry is now revising all of its core Pareto processes. We intend to reduce processing timelines and to get rid of wastage with a focus on working smarter rather than just working harder. As part of this drive to efficiency, we are also looking to improve our legislations, such as the Mining Act and our surveying regulations. Monitoring will also be strengthened and priority given to the allocation or identification of state land for investment. In order to adapt and recover in the event of earthquake and tsunami events, our Mineral Resource Department will be investing in improving our capacity to understand seismic risks, and in this way, reduce risk to our population and reduce the possibility of endangering lives. We have always relied on the Tsunami Warning Center based in Hawaii, but have now set aside funds to enhance our seismic equipment and thus improve our ability to forewarn our people. We are continuing to work on making it easier to access land information through the Vanua GIS so that people are able to view online and analyze data they need without having to physically visit government ministries to get land information. During this COVID-19 episode, our staff from the Ministry of Lands and Mineral Resources have been seconded to the Ministry of Health to provide advice in using their geospatial expertise to help out on contact tracing, fever clinics, and so forth. And they also created a Vanua GIS COVID-19 app that contributed to Fiji's effective and quick response to COVID-19. The Ministry will continue its program on assisting communities through its groundwater development activities. The identification of potential boreholes, drilling and reticulation activities will continue under this budget. Through our foreshore development activities, we will continue to monitor the rehabilitation of mangrove and ensure that mangroves lost are replanted and replaced, and also identify and make proposals to potential RED Plus initiatives for the 28 designated lands under the Land Bank program. In this way, conservation of our forests and enhancement of our forest carbon stocks is sustained. Work continues on the completion of the geodetic datum structure, the Vanua GIS, the identification and acquisition of viable land for commercial purposes, transmission stations, satellite market sites for the Ministry of Local Government, Land Subdivision, and the maintenance of state land. The Ministry of Infrastructure and Meteorological Services has a budget of $30.6 million, which will be used for policy formulation, planning, design, regulatory activities, coordination, and implementation of the programs, projects, and services relating to engineering works, meteorology, public utilities, which are part of our government infrastructure in Fiji. We will continue to strengthen our policy capabilities through the review of policies such as the National Energy Policy, the Fiji Electrification Policy, the Biofuel Policy, the National Water and Sanitation Policy, and the Rural Water and Sanitation Policy, to name a few. $600,000 is being committed to carry out maintenance and upgrading of government-owned buildings. Upgrading of existing water and sewer lines to public buildings, such as government offices and quarters, will continue to ensure a safe, friendly, and conducive living environment that is compliant to OHS. Over the last 8 years, government has invested an amount of $20.3 million to ensure safe and healthy living facilities to tenants of public buildings. My ministry is also investing in the upgrade of building software that is necessary for efficient turnaround time to improve the quality and time taken to deliver, design, and costing works. Providing affordable and sustainable electricity services remains a priority. $7.8 million is provided to the Department of Energy for house wiring of grid extension projects, and this will be used to connect an additional 6,674 houses to the grid, which will benefit a total of 26,696 ordinary Fijians. To date, more than 79% of Fiji's households are now connected to the grid. $1.4 million will be used to rehabilitate diesel schemes and solar home systems that were affected during Tropical Cyclone Winston and Tropical Cyclone Kenny. This allocation will have a sure and direct impact on rural people's health and well-being, security, and improved resilience. We intend to continue reducing the number of people who rely on fossil fuel-based power and therefore contribute to reducing the amount of fuel imported into Fiji. More than $500,000 has been allocated to a Department of Water and Sewerage to deliver its role of regulating the water and sewerage sector, formulating national water and sanitation policies, and to monitor all water and sanitation systems, including water and effluent quality, in both urban areas operated by the Water Authority of Fiji and also in rural areas. Ministry will continue to carry out this water quality testing for rural water schemes, for the 130 EPS systems, the WEF water treatment plants, and the WEF wastewater treatment plants. All of these are in line with our national development plans and achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 6. Our meteorological services has been allocated a total of $5.91 million to provide timely and quality weather, climate, and hydrological information to the general public. A component of this funding is dedicated for the upgrading of the Viwa and Untu Point outer island stations to improve the living and working conditions of our staff in the islands and to protect the delicate and expensive instrument equipment of the existing network. The Fiji Met has been innovative in its service and will continue to develop and improve its services with the funding it has been provided with. Ministry is focused on being cost-effective and on keeping in close contact with those that we serve. Increasingly now staff are using virtual technology to run the ministry, especially for discussions with our teams in the north and the west. We are exploring opportunities of partnering with communities to foster collaborative relationships of service delivery to the local communities. Government has allocated $195.4 million to Water Authority of Fiji to help us achieve our goal of 24/7 delivery of water to all Fijians and expand Fiji's sewerage network. WEF now provides quality drinking water and wastewater services to over 152,261 residential and non-residential metered customers residing largely in urban areas. It is also setting up water supply systems in rural schemes and now has a reach of over 829,000 people nationwide. 24.5 million is being allocated for water treatment quality, and WEF is now supplying more than 124,000 megaliters of treated water annually to homes and businesses and treats 21,666 megaliters of wastewater. 7.3 million has been allocated for wastewater treatment plants. Fijians will greatly benefit from this as we expect to see an increase in water supply capacity by 26% and wastewater treatment capacity by 164%. The much needed Rewa water supply project is ongoing and will significantly enhance the water supply to the densely populated and fast-growing Suva-Nosori region. To ensure continuous water supply, WEF has embarked on undertaking capital programs to improve both the safety and efficiency of water intake structures. Fijians in rural areas are not being left behind. 6.4 million has been set aside for the rural water supply program, and 3.5 million is provided for rural water cutting to communities in non-metered areas during the periods of drought, water disruption, and during the current recovery period from COVID-19. Given the current pandemic, for those who genuinely cannot afford to pay their water bills, we have extended our initiative allowing Fijians to defer payments of water bills to the 31st of March 2021. An efficient and well-maintained road network is essential for the economic being of any country. The 348.9 million provided to the FRA through the budget will allow the authority to continue its progress on upgrading roads, bridges, and jetties. 70 million is being dedicated for routine maintenance of the network. A further 30 million will be used to carry out more of the long-term road rehabilitation works that we have recently seen throughout Suva. The future focus of this work will also be Nadi Town, Lambasa Town, and other critical roads in Suva. Other urban centers around Fiji will also benefit. Over the next 12 months, the FRA Critical Bridges Program will complete the replacement of 20 severely deteriorated bridges around Fiji. Also, through this budget allocation, FRA will complete the installation of 10 modular bridges acquired recently in the USA and recently delivered to Fiji. This will be funded by a budget of $51.2 million allocated for this. 20 million is being used for capital improvement allocation for rehabilitation to Queen Elizabeth Drive from Ratuskuna to Lodala Bay Road, and this will also align and replace the Necessia Bridge. The FRA also recognized the importance of accessibility for rural communities, and $59.4 million has been set for this. For urban communities, FRA will improve the quality of access and pedestrian safety by completing more sections of new footpaths and street lighting. A budget of $14.7 million has been set for this community program. Over the next 12 months, through its collaboration with the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank, FRA will commence the major highway renewal projects along Queens Road, Kings Road, and the Nambawalu to Lambasa Road. They will also commence the complete renewal of 11 roads in Suva, including the replacement of utilities and the introduction of road safety measures to ensure that road users and pedestrians can be safe at all times. This work will be funded through the 87.5 million allocation in this budget. Mr. Speaker, so I want to take a bit of time just to address some of the issues that have been raised in this House. The Honourable Martin Tumbua, who is not here, in his address has been a bit thick and has forgotten what has happened here in Fiji in our recent past and why it has happened. This talk of unfinished business is null and void. Stay away from these kinds of settlements because it will bring about nothing but chaos and discrimination and the continuation of racial discrimination in this wonderful and peaceful land of ours. Fiji does not need those sorts of sentiments. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Kurindani and the Honourable Jone Usamate, and maybe a few others, have deliberately misled this House and the people of Fiji on the average growth rate of our GDP over these past 10 years. The RBF statistics that I have here clearly show what these statistics are. In terms of the average growth rate, from the year 2010 to 2019, it is 3.2%. They choose to start the decade from the year 2011. A decade starts from 2010. 2020 is an anomalous year. It is not a normal year. The downturn that we have in this year is not because of anything this government did or did not do. It happens because of a pandemic that is affecting the globe. So you cannot take the downturn this year to be a reflection of the past 10 years. It is an anomalous year. It is an anomalous year. So you need to look at the growth rate from 2010 to 2019. So to stand in this House and try to make these aspersions that the growth rate is 0.75% is mischievous and is misleading. This is an honourable House. We need to be honourable, we need to speak with honour and speak the truth at all times. That is something that we must always do. Mr. Speaker, sir, when the Honourable Tikundondua resigned in 2014, he made a public statement that it was due to ailing health conditions. Nothing to do with the leadership of the Prime Minister or the AG. Therefore, he either lied at that time or he lied now. He lied to all Fijians as to the reason behind his resignation. His maiden speech in Parliament should be played back so that he can hear it. In his maiden speech in Parliament, he heaped praise on the Honourable Prime Minister. Now, out of bitterness, he is attacking the Honourable Prime Minister. He has made outrageous claims on GDP. I have read the letter that he's talking about, the email, and I don't see anything. He's interpreting these things to suit his own agenda. But if you read that thing, there's concerns from the IMF consultant about the way those GDP figures are put together. And he had talked about the need to review those statistics. There's nothing sinister in that. He chooses to interpret this in a manner that suits his own agenda. So I think this is the last thing that we need to know is that GDP figures, when they are put together, they are not put together by any one person. It's put together by a committee of experts and professionals. Macroeconomic committee puts this together. It's not the governor of the Reserve Bank on his own, or the Bureau of Stats, or the Minister of Economy. It's another separate party that puts this together. To try to come to this House and to say anything else is, I think, is devious, despicable, to be able to say the very least. We need to make sure that we talk about things that are true. Now, the Honourable Tesiso Kuru, he said in this House that the price of sugar during the SDL times was the highest ever. Honourable Sakuru, the highest paid during the SDL time for sugar was $60.80 per ton. The highest paid during the reign of the Fiji First Party is $88.49. If you don't understand, Mr. Speaker, sir, $88 is bigger than $60. It's bigger. $60 is less than $88. That needs to be known. In closing, Mr. Speaker, sir, throughout this budget debate, the opposition has labeled this as a doomsday budget. Nothing can be further from the truth. This rhetoric reminds me of sniveling, fear-ridden children in the midst of a calamity. Yes, we are in tumultuous times, but it's not only Fiji. The whole world is in the midst of this great global calamity. I have heard these doomsday predictions. I have heard the various Bible verses espousing tragedy and doom. Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, a pair of brothers also wrote a book each in the Bible. The younger brother, Jude, reminded his readers that there are people in this world who are, and I quote, "are wild waves of the sea, churning up the foam of their shameful deeds. They are like wandering stars, doomed forever to the blackest darkness." End quote. A lot of the rhetoric from the other side is precisely that. Doomed forever to the blackest darkness. On this side, we don't think like this. We take on board the admonition of his elder brother James, who had this to say: "When trouble comes your way, consider it opportunity for great joy, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." That is our mindset, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have faith.
Prime Minister cannot shout and say shut up.
What's your point of order?
He was saying to me, shut up. Don't use the word shut up. And I think the Honourable Minister is also misleading. He is talking about the GDP growth rate, that the leader of the opposition is misleading the Parliament. He quoted 2011 to 20 average growth, not 2010 to 2019. So you correct the, read the answer. Read the answer. Not the Speaker, Prime Minister, I listen to the Speaker.
Honourable Member, take your seat. Take your seat. Take your seat. You've got to be able to take it here on the chin and give it. All right. That's what you, just listen. That's what you have to be able to do here. Some of you do it, some of you take it. Some of you don't. It's as simple as that. But the thing is, so I'll let you finish.
Thank you, because I've lost my train of thought. I'll go back to what I just read. We take on board the admonition of his elder brother James, who had this to say: "When troubles come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." That is our mindset. We have faith in God and believe in our vision and our calling to lead this country in this time. We choose not to twiddle our thumbs and bite our fingernails and rant and rave and continue to do as we have done in the past. No, this is not the time for austerity, as was proven in the global financial crisis of 2008. We choose to see this as an opportunity. We choose to count these difficulties as a challenge. We choose audacity. We choose to do what is necessary to bring this country out of these troubled times. Mr. Speaker, sir, in 1941, as Great Britain was under the intense pressure of World War II, and when she stood on the verge of defeat, the great Winston Churchill made a speech to the boys at Harrow School, and this is what he told them. I quote, "This is the lesson. Never give in. Never give in. Never, 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 never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty. Never give in, except to convictions of honor and good sense." End quote. This Prime Minister will never give in. This Fiji First government will never ever give up for you, the people of Fiji. Never, never ever will we give up on you. We have the audacity to put in place the best way forward out of this, and this is what this budget is all about. It is my honor and my privilege to support the 2020-2021 budget before the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.